Okay, so our video today is going to cover what we call multiple alleles, and it's in the context of the example of human blood type or blood groups. So multiple alleles is when we have more than two alleles present in our population. So there's going to be more than three possible phenotypes. So let's take a look at blood typing. Go ahead and make sure you fill in your name, date, period, assignment number, and then let's take a read for our intro paragraph. The four common blood groups of the ABO blood group system are determined by three alleles. So we have A, B, and O alleles. Sometimes these alleles are represented as capital I with an A exponent, capital I with a B exponent, and a lowercase I with an O exponent. And we do this because the capital I communicates like dominance over this recessive allele or lowercase I. So we call this an example of multiple alleles because there's more than two. And this is going to determine antigens. So those are carbohydrates or sugars that are on the surface of the red blood cell that are important for your immune system and your body communicating to itself that I made these blood cells, these are normal. So the ABO antigens consist of sugars attached to the surface of red blood cells. The alleles code for enzymes or proteins that join these sugars together. The O allele produces a non-functioning enzyme that's unable to make any changes to the basic antigen sugar molecule. So basically no sugar is added there. The other two alleles, A and B, are codominant. Remember, codominant, what we talked about earlier, is where we have both of these alleles equally and independently expressed, in this case on the surface of the red blood cell. So there will be A antigens and B antigens on the surface. So they're expressed equally. They each produce a different functional enzyme that adds a different specific sugar to the basic sugar molecule. The blood group A and B antigens are able to react with antibodies present in the blood from other people. So you have to consider that when dealing with blood and transfusions. So this is important to note. We have our recessive allele, which is the O, and then we have two dominant alleles, and those are going to be operating under what we call codominant, because if they are both present, they are both going to be expressed on the surface of the red blood cell. So let's take a look at this table over here. The phenotype is the physical trait. Often we just say you have type O blood or type A blood, but you have to note that the genotype tells us what alleles we had to inherit to give us that phenotype. So the only way to be type O blood is to inherit two O or recessive alleles, one from each parent. If you look at the A phenotype, there's two different genotypes. We can inherit two A alleles, one from each parent, or maybe one parent gave us an A and the other parent gave us an O or that recessive allele. So since A is dominant over O, A is going to be expressed on the surface of the red blood cells, so both of these genotypes would produce this phenotype. So think about, considering this information, how many genotypes are possible for having a B blood type? Go ahead and write them out here. There are two different genotypes possible. We could inherit a B allele from each, or maybe we inherit a B and then a recessive allele O. To be type AB, well, there's only one genotype possible here. In order to be type AB blood, you have to inherit an A allele from one parent and a B allele from the other parent. This is where the codominance comes into play, because if you inherit both of these different alleles, they're both going to be together expressed on the surface of your red blood cell. So let's go ahead and read over here. If a person has the AO allele combination, then their blood group will be group A. The presence of the recessive allele has no effect on the blood group in the presence of the dominant allele. Another possible allele combination can create the same blood group AA. So this is all just explaining how there's two possible genotypes. Let's put a comma right here so you guys know that it could be this genotype or this genotype. So let's see what we have to do. Number one, use the information above to complete the table for the possible genotypes for blood group B and AB. Done. Below are 6 crosses possible between various couples. The first example has been completed for you. So let's take a look at our crosses. We have across an AB parent crossed with another AB parent. You can see when they do the Punnett square, we have 3 different phenotypes possible. We could produce children with an A type blood, AB type blood, or B type blood. So let's practice some crosses. Let's start with cross number 2. If both of our parents are type O, let's separate out their alleles and then predict the possible children genotypes. Hopefully that one felt pretty good. All of their offspring, 100%, are inheriting one O allele from each parent. So the blood group or the phenotype, we would just call this type O blood. So it'd be 100% type O blood. Let's try cross number 3. Separate the alleles. And then when we are bringing them together, let's follow the same order. We want to list the dominant alleles before the recessive. So remember, the dominant alleles are going to be the A's and the B's. And then we do want to follow the order of the alleles. If we have an A and a B present, we want to list the A first. So go ahead and fill out the children genotypes and phenotypes. And let's check our work. We have 50% A, 25% AB, and 25% B. Let's try cross 4. And check your work, 50% AB and 50% type A. Oops. When we're writing out the phenotypes, we don't need to include that recessive allele there, so it should just be A for those guys. Okay, great job. Let's take a look at our next cross. On the back here, we have cross 5 and cross 6. Separate your alleles and go ahead and combine them. For cross 5, we should have gotten 50% type A and 50% type O. Our last cross before we do these next problems, let's separate out the alleles. and go ahead and combine them. We should get 50% B and 50% O. Okay, hopefully you're feeling more comfortable with doing these blood typing crosses. You have to remember this is multiple alleles and also an example of codominance, because if we have A and B alleles, they're both equally expressed. Okay, so let's read number 3. A wife is heterozygous for blood group A. So if we know she has type A blood, there's 2 genotypes. She could either have 2 alleles that are the same or 2 different alleles. If it says different, heterozygous, that means that she is this genotype, an A and an O. The husband has blood group O. Are there more than one possible genotypes that could produce type O blood? No. If we look at our table, remember, to be type O, you have to inherit 2 O alleles. So we know his genotype must be OO. So go ahead and use that information to fill out our Punnett square. We have type A and type O. Separate them and then cross. You should get 50% type A and 50% O. So let's answer our questions here. One child having blood group O, the probability would be 50%. One child having blood group A, 2 out of 4, or 50%. One child having group AB, is that a possibility for these parents in this cross? It's not possible, so we would say 0% chance. Okay, get into the court case. In a court case involving a paternity dispute, like who is the father of a child, a man claims that a male child, blood group B, was born to a woman, is his son, and he wants custody. The woman claims that he is not the father. Well, let's take a look. If the baby is type B blood, we could be of the genotype BB or BO. We know the mom is type A, so what are her possible genotypes? AA or AO. This dad here, he has type O blood. The only possible genotype is to be OO. So let's say that this father is type O blood. And this mom, well, let's hang out for a second. Let's separate his alleles. He's going to be donating an O allele to this baby either way. So if we know the baby has an O allele from this dad, out of these genotypes, which one is the baby going to have? It has to have the BO genotype. Okay. So if this O allele supposedly came from the dad, that is interesting because the mom doesn't have a B allele. So if we even just play with the idea that the baby is this genotype, maybe the mom would be AO. Because for a mom of type A blood to have a baby with type B blood, she would have to donate the O allele to the baby, right? If the baby is type B, that means that that O allele had to come from her, and the B had to come from the biological father. So let's separate out her alleles. This O allele has to be donated from the mom, because we know this mom gave birth to this baby, which poses the question, where did this B allele come from? It didn't come from this guy. So let's answer our question. If the man has type O blood, we use the diagram. Good. State with reason whether the man can be correct in his claim. Well, unfortunately, or maybe fortunately, he is not the biological father. We can say the baby is type B. So the baby had to inherit a B allele from the, I'm running out of room, dad. And we could say since the mom donated an O allele. Okay? Because we know if the mom donated an A allele, this baby would at least be AB or A. Hopefully that feels good. Number 5, give the blood groups which are possible for children from the following parents. The mother is group AB and the father is group O. So let's set up a Punnett square for this when you're doing blood typing. I like using the alleles capital A, capital B, and capital O, but knowing that the O is recessive. So I'm going to put the mom across the top, AB, and the father down the side to be group O. We know he has to have that genotype. Then we cross it out, list the dominant alleles before the recessive. And let's summarize this. This would mean 50% type A and 50% type B. Okay, we ran out of room and I can't quite read that last question, so we're going to call it good there. Hopefully you feel good with multiple alleles and blood typing crosses, but of course if you need help, just let me know. Okay, great job.